In the heart of somnolent Europe in the 21st century, they are burning churches and turning them into lavatories, and no one reports it. They use terrorism to carve out territory and create a new country with our Western help. We fought for their cause with our eyes firmly closed. They falsified history, revised place names, and we accepted it. They raped young girls and kidnapped people to harvest organs, and we turned a blind eye. Now they want to join the EU. Should we let them in? Are we shocked? Their migrants, illegal migrants, are coming by the tens of thousands into the UK, and then we do nothing. Their country is, of course, Kosovo, or to use its correct name, Kosovo and Metohija, shortened to Kosmet, still legally part of Serbia. It literally means from the Kos or blackbird in Serbian, from the field of blackbirds, referring to the famous battle in 1389 when Serbs and indeed some Christian Albanians, as we call them now, halted Ottoman imperialism and expansion into Europe, unfortunately without the help of the Vatican, although requested. This slowed down the bloodthirsty Muslim onslaught until finally in 1459 the rump Christian Serbian despotate fell. The other part of the name, Metohija, is from the Greek and means relating to the church, so called since Kosmet is rich in hundreds of churches, monasteries and shrines, the Jerusalem of Europe, unfortunately significantly reduced in number due to NATO, either through bombing or permitting Islamic terrorists, yobs or troublemakers to do it. This state under NATO occupation held a referendum and declared independence on the 17th of February 2008, an illegal act under international law. Yet the West accepts and encourages this, and accepts the mass expulsion of not only non-Albanians, mainly Christian Orthodox Serbs, but others like Roma and Gorani. This is well on the way to creating an Islamic superstate of Greater Albania, carved out of Serbia, Macedonia, Montenegro and Greece. Albanian flags are flying everywhere, not only in Kosmet, but also in northwest Macedonia. It's just a matter of time. The year 2014 saw the 100th anniversary of the war to end all wars, starting in the Balkans, with the original belief that a Serbian terrorist started it, plunging the world into chaos, killing off a whole generation of people, none worse so than in Serbia, in which 1/4 of the whole population perished, men, women, children, old people, due to war, disease, genocide. But the Balkans is still a powder keg. What did we actually learn? Just like in 1914, we blamed the Serbs. Gavrilo Princip killed the evil anti-Semitic imperialistic heir to the short-lived Austro-Hungarian throne. Germany, flexing its ambitious imperialist muscle, forced Austro-Hungary to invade Serbia for revenge and gambled on thrashing the Serbs in the ring, while the West looked on without intervening. Serbia fought well to defend itself. Yet, through a series of treaties, Russia, France, Britain all got involved and so on. What you are never told about in school is that Bosnia and Herzegovina was at the time occupied, and Gavrilo Princip was part of a multi-ethnic group sworn to rid the Balkans of the alien occupier. Even the BBC Bite-Size incorrectly and falsely teaches kids that he was a terrorist and that Serbia wanted the Ottoman territory. How absurd. In fact, today in the West, the concept of fighting for freedom by defending one's own land and people does not exist, whether in Iraq, Afghanistan, Israel, Libya, Serbia, or other territories occupied by former imperialistic powers. And just as in 1389, the Serbian bulwark was in place to stop European Islamicization, dismantled by external aggressors, Now more than 100 years since World War One, we are destroying and weakening the bulwark again. And just as in 1914 with German militaristic propaganda, lies and deceit, the European Union, or EU, has let Croatia in, the country which never had to answer for its mass genocidal horrors of World War II, with death camps like Jasenovac, which murdered up to 700,000 people in gruesome ways, even a kids' one at Sisak, yet nearly 2 decades after its genocide of Serbs in 1995. A so-called Operation Storm, Serbs are unwelcome to move back and claim their own properties or land. They cannot even use Cyrillic script to write. There is an utterly hateful mass hysteria, anti-Serbian propaganda with mass banners in many places and Serbian family trees showing Serbs hanging from a tree. Is this what Europe is all about? Or should I say EU-ROP? Should we have let in such hate-filled countries which do not respect or acknowledge minorities, or revise their fascist history? What one can certainly say in the Western Europe is that it has let down Serbia, and with potential unreasonable member vetoes against EU accession and the Nazi-like German sweeping declarations about admitting genocide as a condition of membership, which actually Germany never had to do pre-EU, it would be better for southern European Serbia to look eastwards, Turkey, Russia, China, India, and out of Europe altogether, Brazil, Mexico, Venezuela, Indonesia, for trade, international integration and development, and even military support and protection. Sounds like a new non-aligned movement? The emergent BRICS organization, maybe? There was never an equivalent Marshall Plan to economically pull Serbia out of 2 decades of war, yet we want to welcome them to the French-German Axis EU with open hands, covered in the blood of their innocent civilians. We have set up our stagnant EU to evolve into Eurabia, a politically misunderstood term first coined by Jewish historian Giselle Littman. Further, mass immigration is done intentionally to pursue so-called diversity, the diversity agenda, by destroying Christian substratum of life in Europe. Witness Professor Barbara Lerner-Spector, who called publicly for the cultural destruction of Sweden more than a decade ago. They do not even hide it anymore. And look at the dire state of Sweden: burning Korans, mass rape, mass shootings, police no-go areas. This is the future of Europe. If we study Cosmet since pre-1914, we see how the 10% Islamic population became dominant through higher births, intimidation, expulsion, genocide, forced property confiscation, and terrorism, to become 90%, used by the EU as a justification for independence. For those who can understand and hear, as well as listening, this is a foreboding to the Western world and its values. And the Western world did the opposite of what it should have done in 1999 by supporting Islamic terrorism at the expense of Christendom. Serbia understandably reacted to stop this threat, but was blocked by the West. Israel deals with similar circumstances by military force, but also by building a 6-meter wall and excluding people. What will Western democracies do in 100 years' time when London is 90% non-English or Paris is 90% non-French? Will they not defend their own democratic rights or way of life in the meantime? Or will they just let the territories separate and become independent according to the absolute majority rule? These unwelcome scenarios have become a reality in the Balkans and are happening now as we speak in the EU. We need an untabooed, fair political debate, else the frog in the slowly heated water will become boiled. Churchill wrote, While England Slept, a great thesis on how Britain faded from its imperial greatness, right or wrong, and was unprepared for the rise of German militarism in Europe in the 1930s. The parallel now is a deliberate destruction of European culture. Today, as we Europeans were sleeping, we did this.